Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show tonight. Tonight's guest, we have a return guest, Hood Scholar Muff, is coming back on, and she's gonna speak on some things that I believe need to be talked about for the Bayview Hunters Point community. So we're gonna bring on Hood Scholar Muff, and we want to thank you and welcome to the show.
Thank you for welcoming me back again to your show. I appreciate it. So on this Tuesday, I hope everybody having a good Tuesday and taking care of yourself. That's a good way to start off, and don't put too much on yourself, and right. Just take it easy and just breathe and drink a lot of water.
Right.
Drink a lot of water
So
because
far,
it's
so
hot.
good.
Yes,
It's
the weather is really, and coming for our allergies, our throat, and everything. So I want everybody just take care of themselves. So I want to kind of start off with giving them some announcements, some importance that I think community should be aware of. As you know, there was a shooting in the Bayview on July the 26th of 2003 in Hunters Point community, and then there was a town hall immediately after, which was August the 4th. Mm-hmm. And from that town hall, the interesting thing that came out of the town hall is that it's going to go back in person. Mm-hmm. So the captain will now have our first in-person meeting on September the 5th in the Bayview Hunters Point at the San Francisco Police Department at 201 Williams at 5 o'clock. And moving forward, they meet every first Tuesday of the month. And so I think that's very helpful for the community because of the shooting and after. No, I think it's more helpful for the community because of the incident with the shooting, and then a lot of people internet service is not really good up there, or a lot of our seniors are really not familiar with how to get connected on. So for them to come back in person really speaks volume that they want to work within community and not leave us behind. And so I will be attending, if God said the same, I will go to all those meetings because I think it's really important to start with a city entity to begin to work with, especially in the movement that we're working on. Everything we're working on is education and mass incarceration and public safety. And so I believe those are the key people to build a relationship with for a lot of reasons. When we grew up out in communities, we can name at least 4 or 5 police officers, right? We can't do that no more. And to me, that kind of, I was like, that's kind of not good. Is that good?
No,
or is that not good?
No, not at all.
So what do you think? That's not good, huh? What is your viewpoint on why that's not good?
Well, for me, it's not good because, see, in our community, we have police officers that work our community that don't live in our community. They don't know what goes on in our community. When they leave and go home, they don't know what goes on. They go out to the suburbs or go wherever, away from San Francisco, and it speaks aloud to us because why can't we have somebody that lives in our community that knows what's going on in our community, opposed to somebody that lives in San Mateo, or lives in Richmond, or lives in San Leandro, lives outside of San Francisco. We need to know who works in our community.
And we had that. Officer Yolanda. Officer Yolanda, yeah, she lived right in the heart of Hunters Point, right there with us until she moved. But example that I know you're giving, because I know there were officers that did resign in the community or have not had family in the community. Sure. And so today we really don't have that. Like me, I only know Chief Scott. And I'm like, okay, well, the only reason why I know Chief Scott is because he worked, he's the chief of the police, right? But if you can't just simply be like, oh, well, that's officer, like the plain clothes that came into the community. We always knew our plain clothes that came in and out of our community. And for the plain clothes that came in up in the community, and there was nobody can say, oh, that's officer, Langston or whatever, and maybe that wouldn't have escalated, I mean, I'm just hypothetically speaking that I think relationships with the police is tangible in a lot of different ways, more than just, hey, I know a police officer. It's good to have that relationship with them so that we can all know who each other are, and so that incident probably could have got de-escalated a little bit, because most of the time when the police officer, they joke with you. Sure. Sometimes they'll laugh and talk a little crap or whatever. And so I just really want us to work with San Francisco police on this one, because that is really like to the heart. A lot of children were up there. It's a lot of families up there, and it's a mental health traumatizing type thing, and then like that.
Well, I believe in our communities. See, we have a fear. That fear is of the police in our communities, because we don't know them. Like I said, we don't know them. We don't know who they are. We got a police officer pull up in a police car, and we're looking like, well, okay, we know we see him drive around, but we don't know who he is. So it's a fear that comes up. We have we have that screen comes up. Mm-hmm. Should we talk to him? Should we not talk to him? Mm-hmm. So we have a double-edged sword.
And what's interesting about that is that it seemed like that's how they wanted it to be.
It's by design.
Yes, because how did we grow up to having this relationship with all our police in our community to now we don't even know who none of them are? Right. Yeah. So to not know the police is to silence the community, because we don't know who nobody are. So everybody, like you said, we are fearful now because we don't know these new officers, or we don't know these cops. We grew up in the community where we knew the police and everything. And so that's the kind of difference. I always kind of ask people sometimes, what's the difference between hood and urban? Mm-hmm. Just to see how people gonna analyze the two. Well, we grew up hood, right? With the police, and they knew who we was. And urban is sort of different, like in Fairfield, and people live in Fairfield, they don't really have relationships with the police, not unless they on certain councils and stuff like that, right? Yeah. So I just was thinking about that the other day. I thought it was interesting to raise awareness to that, and just at least. So my goal is to be present every Tuesday, to be the face, to hear what's going on. Hopefully they do them live. Like they was doing them. I hope they can do it hybrid, both with the camera, just in case everybody can't always come in. But I think this, after coming out of a pandemic, this would be a good place to start to get our movement where we're working on, and to let's kind of chime in on what we're doing. So I am pleased to announce that we will be working on a summit, and we have a core team. Mrs. and Mrs. James is our core team, and then we're going to bring on other people, but they have set a date for the summit. So they have set a name for the summit. The summit is Heal the Hood. So Heal the Hood is everything that we need to do for ourselves. We have got to heal ourselves into better perfection, so that we can thrive. The young generations can thrive, And so the summit Thank you guys for the name. Everybody loved the name. Everybody loved the name. I've been talking to people and they like, oh, I like that. So it's getting out there, and for people to know to save the date. We also have set a date. It's going to be May the 30th and the 31st of 2024. That's a Thursday and a Friday. We don't have a venue yet, but we will. And how it's already going to roll out, because we already ready to present it. We just need good supporters to come in back of it and help us with it. We are going to show Brother Wendell documentary, the San Francisco Educational Trauma 2.0. It's already on YouTube up under our Born and Raised Community Developers YouTube channel. I released it like last year for Black History. But what we're going to do with our guest that's coming in to join us for the summit, we're going to have a meet and greet, and we're going to show the documentary film that features Brother Wendell, because this is me and him just haven't met, and his wife Miss Gloria. We all been working on this movement for at least 3 years now, huh? 3 years,
Yeah,
3 years, 3 years, solid. But me and Brother Wendell met when he first came home, and he told me his story, and I just been rocking with him ever since, because it's a prime living testimony of what has happened to Black men in America, in urban hood America. And I don't think nobody's story can compare. I mean, DMX had a rough one too. I read DMX story, he was an artist. Full-fledged artist.
Yeah, it was.
And he was shot down by the white educators. Told him he wasn't going to be nothing. Told him he couldn't be no artist. And then he had to also deal with what was going on in community and being in poverty with his mother. But, home is one thing, but if community and school would have been something else, it probably would have not had him be so angry and stuff. He has a very good story. DMX, he been through a lot. DMX was first incarcerated at 10 years old. 10 years old. He was booked into a juvenile facility because the school couldn't deal with him. His mother didn't want to deal with him, and so it's that pipeline to prison.
That's
when we don't
is.
have that.
That's what it
them
is.
basic reading, writing, and arithmetic skills in our head. And I want to mention this because I think this is very important. Because I don't think people pay attention to this. Do you notice they don't even teach our kids how to cursive write no more?
No, they don't.
Now, why do you think that, Brother Elamine?
They don't. Well, it's just like anything else that happens to us, our people, is that if you want to keep something from a person, you don't give it to them. It's like the carrot in the rabbit. You just give them just enough. And that's all you do. If you keep him in a state, that's where he'll stay until you take him out of that state. Now,
I didn't know how dangerous it was to not have a signature, and the importance of the signature, because I have a daughter, she's 22. And one day, me and her, I was getting she had got her first little job, and she needed a bank account. So I looked at how she wrote her name, and I was like, I said, do you know how to cursive? And she said, what's that? I said, you don't know how to cursive, baby? She was like, no, they never taught me how to do that. So I taught her how to cursive. And now her penmanship is just as better than me. And I was like, wow. So when you think about it, and let me tell you what, because I'm big on conspiracy theories, I'm sorry. I can't help it. To not teach a person how to cursive, we gonna start dealing with artificial intelligence. And every time you write that signature, if you don't write that signature the same, you not getting your money.
Exactly.
You get what I'm saying?
Exactly.
That's the plot that I got out of it. I said,
If you don't teach it to them, they won't.
that's interesting. Because you think about it, everything gonna be computerized. The computer gonna go off the first signature they saw. If you don't continue that, or if your penmanship is poor, they already toss your stuff into the trash. They already know that they don't want you on their team.
That's right.
So it's so much behind this summit. That's why I'm glad it's called Heal the Hood, because we got to heal in all areas than we can imagine, even just with cursive, even just with teaching our kids how to tie their shoe. That's a healing, because everything's so fast paced. A lot of their children are just sticking their shoes in the shoes in the shoes, like my grandson, and which I'm on him for that. But then what really made me realize it was a little more serious, because my daughter was on the bus, the 22-year-old, and she said, "Mom, it was a fourth grader on the bus, Mom. She didn't know how to tie her shoes." And this was just like a year ago, and I was like, she was in the fourth grade, Ladybug, because that's my daughter. I'm like, "You sure?" She was like, "Mommy," she told me. I started talking to her. I even started teaching her, and then from that day, my daughter was like, "I want to work with kids. I want to be an English teacher. Like, Mom, we gotta help." I'm like, "Of course." So now I'm like, yes. So that's why our movement is so critical, because it's so much that we have to touch on, and we just not gonna be like any ordinary summit. After our summit, there's gonna be workshops that people are gonna be able to come to, and that's how we're gonna be able to buy people in and build the movement. They need to know on May the 30th, before we leave out of whatever venue we in, they have June the 10th to come to something on a Saturday for a recap. You get what I'm saying? That's how you gonna get people engaged, because people are at a loss for hope. You know, they don't know who to trust, how to trust. But we gotta first teach people to trust themselves.
Sure.
We gotta first just trust ourselves, and everything else is gonna happen. I'm looking forward to this movement with y'all. I brag about y'all all the time. I can't help it. I'm just so excited.
We've invited a variety of people. We got a brother coming from Chicago. He's come from Chicago because there's a lot of stuff going on in Chicago. They get killing each other in Chicago.
I know.
And we got a brother coming from Los Angeles. He's on the what, I can't think of the name of it right now, but he's come from Los Angeles. We got a brother coming from Arizona that moved from Oakland when he got out of prison. He left California, went to Arizona, bought a home. He's doing extremely well. He's coming to speak about things that's going on here in Arizona with the youth. So we got a lot of people that we've invited so far.
That's good. That's good. And so I would like to brag about the hill. I met so over the weekend we had a moment where, because it's Black August. Okay, now could you help me elaborate a little bit on the meaning of Black August? Is it because that's during the time of freedom fighting and liberation?
This is when a lot of stuff went on in the prisons, when a lot of killing.
Okay, see, and it has something to do with the prisons. I knew it. I couldn't touch on it, but I was a little close this morning. So they had something for Marcus Garvey over in Oakland celebrating Black liberation, and then they had over in the African American Arts and Culture Complex this weekend, August the 19th. They had Tupac's stepfather. They had a tribute to Tupac's stepdad, and it was very, very eye-opener. It's a movie I'll call Dope as Death, where they talked about the heroin and everything that went on with the movement and the healers, and how they was using acupuncture to heal themselves and stuff. And I just think those are the things that we want to educate on, we want to learn about. And so they had some very outstanding healers over there. They're called the Dope Healers. One of the daughters is from a young man from the Black Panthers, and she's going to connect with me next week, and I'm going to meet her father, and we're going to invite him into the summit,
Right.
so that we can have somebody from the movement that can speak to us as well. And I'm looking forward to that. And they were some real good healers. I mean, they even I even felt their vibes. So we definitely gonna bring them on, and other healers that we know. If you're out there, you can reach out to us. And my information is info dot barscd@gmail.com, and or you can reach me by phone if there's something you would like to do for the summit, you would like to donate, you would like to participate, get on the mailing list. You can call me at 510-328-3575. That is a community line. It is a Google number, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. But please join this Healing the Hood Summit. It's going to be a summit of a lifetime. It's going to be talked about forever. I already can hear people. It's going to mobile around, because it's going to need to touch every part of United States where our people is at, so that we can heal ourselves and heal up and make it better for our next generation, and get the help that we need to heal ourselves, because we all have been through a lot. And we're still in the fight. That's the good thing about this journey. We still in it, and long as we can keep swinging and we don't get knocked down, we just got to keep pushing.
Keep on. Persistence. I say that we're a work in progress, and it's a lot that need to be done. A lot that will be done, because we have a group here that's persistence. We're not stopping. We know what we have to do. All we have to do is do it, and we're doing it. We're bringing groups of people together that should be together, and allow us to say the things that need to be said that people don't know. There's a lot of things that people don't know, because they haven't been told. They've been like kept in the dark. Incarceration, about incarceration. They don't know about incarceration because they've never been incarcerated.
Right.
So they don't know. They know what we come home and give them. But a lot of people come home and give them nothing.
But that's why in this movement we're going to create the About That Life Penitentiary Act. That needs to be a curriculum. I'm gun ho on making that a curriculum, because a lot of people, they see stuff on television when stuff is edited and scripted, and it's not what it really is, and I'm tired of that. I need a penitentiary act. We need a blueprint that can get taught as social justice, so that young people can understand the prison politics. How you can, for instance, it's a riot going on right now in one of the prisons, and one of the young men didn't participate in the riot. Now he's getting jumped and beat on every day because he didn't participate. Well, he 30 days from coming home. And so he didn't want to participate in the riot. He was already in the bed sleep when he heard the riot was going on. He just slammed the door and he didn't participate. And then once he told me what the riot was behind, because California didn't lift they didn't let the death row go back into general population, Gavin Newsom, which is dangerous, because they already then had a different mentality that they were going to be lifers in there. So they're coming out into general population a little bit more dangerous. And what they did was they got into it with the mafia or something like this. And some OG that was on death row stole on one of the Mexican mafia. And it's been a riot in this prison ever since. And to learn that the blacks don't have nobody on their side. The Asians, the others, is what they're telling me from the penitentiary. The Asians, the others. He said nobody is with the blacks. I was like, wow.
Well, we have a little back up from the North Daniels and some of the others.
But he was telling me that the Southern and the Northern, they didn't merge together in this prison, that particular prison. He said the Southern and the Northern, because they were always separate. He said no, they joined together. I said who? So because I know a little something about the prison politics. I don't know a whole lot, but I was like, oh, and I was like, well, what about the Asians? I was like, well, how many Asians in there? He was like, mommy, I mean, it's not many, but it's like not over like 10. And I said, well, whose side they on? He was like, they with the Latinas and everything. And he said, Mom, we just in here standing by ourselves, and they want to come home, some of them, but they backs up against the wall. And so I just want to build this prison, this penitentiary act, so that we can teach them. What about when you get in stuff like that and you got to participate? Now you getting beat up every day. That's scary.
Well, I went to prison years ago. It's a different generation now. When we went to prison, you had to participate. Either you participate, or you don't. And if you don't, you just go under. You had to put work in. So that's something.
If you didn't, y'all would violate the person that they had consequences to.
Like I said, when I went to prison, I went to 87, and there was a war going on when I went to prison. It was already going on. Right, so when I went to prison, I didn't want to get involved. I want to come home.
Right.
I ain't. Okay, you don't. Okay, well, here, this is yours, and it's yours. So when they come at you, you got to put work in. If you don't, you die. And they was killing people every day in prison. I went to prison. Every day somebody was getting killed. So either you live or you die.
I know. They was on the phone telling me people in here, like, watch your people getting stabbed.
I don't know what it is now, because like I said, it's been over 30 years I've been in the system, but I know it's still going on in prison.
Oh yeah, it's still going on, and it's a lot of it was over a drug deal and bad, and then I was just sitting thinking yesterday, like, wow, it's more drugs being sold in there than it is on the streets.
The same thing
it's like, wow.
The same thing in there, the same thing out here.
I know, but the thing is, on there it's just a little bit more structured. Yeah. Out here it's just a little bit more different, but at the end of the day, it's not a place that we want any of our brothers and sisters going.
We don't want to be there.
We don't care what race you are. Please stay out of the criminal justice system if you can, please.
I go back up in the system on the regular. I just went in Solano last month, and to see what's going on now, it's really a shame, because you got these youngsters going in prison now, and there's no more 25 years of life. There's no 20-something years. They'd given 120 years to life. The youngsters, they're 22, 23 years old, and they don't realize that what they have. They don't realize all this time they got. They say, well, the law is going to change, but they might not change.
Oh, so you saying that they not giving them 25, they giving them longer?
Oh, yes, they get much longer. They get
because I think I heard somebody in there said they have 60 years. I'm like, good Lord.
They give them a lot of time, because they give them enhancements. They give them gang enhancement, that's 10 years. They give them, your prior enhancement, that's another 10 years. So they're stacking time on them. So you come up with 85 years of life, 100 years of life. Some people got 300 years of life. And these are kids not realizing how much time they have. They go in, they start playing basketball and doing whatever, and they're not worried about trying to get out, because they don't see a date. You don't see a date, so they get it hooked up and they're doing whatever, and they live in. This is my home now. This is Hunters Point on a smaller ground. We got a big ground out here. We got Hunters Point inside on a smaller ground, and that's what they do. So we gotta. Every time I go back, I bring them awareness. I let them know, hey, look, out there it's beautiful. I mean, you can go anywhere you want to go in the world. You get on a plane and go across country, come back to the same place you took off from. And here you can only go from this building to that building. You can be anything you want to be in prison, but who want to be something in prison? Come on, be something in your community.
That's why our movement is no more prison scholars.
Right.
Because there's so many of our young brothers and sisters that have went into the criminal justice system, and they come out with all these good degrees, and they come out transformed to what they could have done before they went there. But a lot of it is the educational system is so crappy towards black and brown children. Like, it just doesn't want to help us, and that's why we have to help our educational system the best way we can, which we'll talk about next time, because they're talking about closing down Malcolm X in Hunters Point, which was Sir Francis Drake in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Yeah, it's a crisis going on right now. It was just released in the new Bayview. In the San Francisco Bayview. I'm sorry, I don't know why I keep calling it the new Bayview. The San Francisco Bayview, where one of the sisters here, Sister Bavette Bracklitz, I'm not sure where she's at in the movement, because I met her during the pandemic. She put a Williams complaint. Now, I never heard of a Williams complaint. It's a Williams complaint, something you can file against the government for the conditions of what they have in the children in there. And then she mentions the lead in the water. Well, I attended that school, and I was a very angry child, and I used to drink that water, so I'm going to get on that.
You got lead in the water now, up on the hill?
That whole building, give or take, if that school was built in the mid 1800s, Sir Francis Drake been there since the 1800s.
Yeah.
That school is contaminated.
Wow.
Almost definitely is. The paint, because we couldn't even sit in there good. By the time 10 o'clock, we all jumping off the wall and acting crazy. Who's to say it wasn't the water? Who's to say it's not the paint and stuff we're breathing? And so now it's a William complaint against the school. And I think that's going to be where I'm going to dive in and roll up my sleeves and demand that they either do better by the school, shut it down, or something. Because it's less than 100 students.
Really?
And I'm gonna know the actual count. I'll be able to give it a next update, because I'm either there tomorrow or Wednesday for sure, because of this article and what's going on publicly with Malcolm X. We the people need to bring some attention to what's going on up there. Either they gonna shut it down and get them babies from up there and get them in some better places where they can learn and thrive, or either they gonna get out the way and let us come in and take over the school and teach the kids. Something gonna have to happen. The school district gonna have to start letting parents back in the schools, and with the Dreams Keeper initiative, hopefully my plan is to put a proposal together so that I can start hiring some people to go in and help work with a classroom so the teacher can have some additional help. We losing teachers. We're losing San Francisco Unified School District and lost over 25 teachers, and we ain't even been in school.
Wow.
60 days.
My sister, Hood Scholar Muff. It's always a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.
We talk so much, we talked out of time.
But you know what? It's a good. We do good though. This is a thank you for inviting me. Always invite me.
No. I want to invite you back. Because this stuff that we haven't talked about needs to be talked about.
Yes, and I don't mind working to get information that I can help share on your platform, because you're more out in the community.
We want to bring you back
well
in a couple of more weeks.
Okay.
To do this again, because we have some stuff that we can't talk about today because we ran out of time. We want to bring you back in 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay.
And we're going to finish. No, we can't finish because we got a whole lot more to talk about. We want to speak on some more stuff.
Okay.
That need to be talked
Most
about.
definitely.
Right. We need to talk about the juvenile facilities. We need to talk about the juveniles. We need to talk about all this stuff that's going on in our community.
Okay.
People need to hear what's going on.
Okay, and I'll make sure I'll focus in on that and timing on that, so I can keep the commentary and the updates that the community is very well. I appreciate you. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate you.
All right, thank you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching the show this evening. We want to keep you in tune on what's going on in our community. The Wendell Elamine James Show, Multicultural Metamorphosis, is here every Saturday night at 7 o'clock on Channel 29. You can look at it in prime time. You can go on YouTube and look it up on YouTube and watch it whenever you want to watch it, because we're there, and you can watch the sister, follow the sister, know what the sister is doing, know what we're doing for the summit next year, May of next year. 2024. Wow, time is flying. But come and be part of what's going on and look at our show. If you have any feedback to enhance our program, to better what we're doing, call the studio. Let me know what's going on so we can enhance our program, make it better for the viewers. And we want to thank you for coming on tonight. Watch the show every Saturday night, 7 o'clock on Channel 29. Thank you, and have a good evening.